Okay, we're at the back of the house, northwest corner of the property. We've got a retaining wall over here. And it looks like everybody does. It's probably tenancy in common, community standards, those kinds of things. The rule is if this wall is 4 feet high and it's farther than 8 feet from the house, then it should not have any effect on your foundation. If it's 10 feet, I don't think it is. Look how high it is. 20 feet from the house. So this retaining wall does not pertain to this house beyond the scope. What does pertain to it? Well, we got stuff. See this window trim around here? Does that look like the edges were primed? They don't look like it was primed to me. Does it look like there's flashing tape behind this joint right here? This joint? Is there flash tape underneath there? It doesn't look like it. How about Z-bar flashing over the windows? Doesn't look like that either. So we don't have Z-bar flashing. And all these butt joints, pretty much know they weren't primed. Pretty much know there's not flashing tape behind them. That's what the manufacturer says. Now over here, you'll notice these nails. Well, the manufacturer says if it's loose, put a nail in it. It's not something you just want to do. You know, how many nails can you put in it and not get a nice pattern going, anything like that. But if you notice these nails, the manufacturer says it's okay. Huh. But while you're putting a nail in there, you're going to put a big old ding in it? Look at that. Look what Philip did with that hammer. He can't swing a hammer worth a hoop. What's that about? Might want to get that fixed. And over here, see these things right here? These are called weep holes. Called weep holes. Home ownership 101, all roofs leak, all walls leak. We design these systems to shed water faster than they take it on. That's why we're concerned about these gaps. That's why these windows are designed this way. But inside these weep holes are supposed to be weirs. W-I-E-R-S. Supposed to be weirs inside of there, little flaps. So that way dirt and debris doesn't get up in there. You can buy a whole sack full of them for $10. De minimis, small. But what does that really mean to you, usually? Well, I was in a vacant house a couple years ago, and I learned. I thought it was haunted. The wind was blowing. It was March. And that house was playing like a flute. So if you have these open weir holes like this, that you might have that paranormal phenomena happen. Now these exterior, local jurisdiction having authority, local code inspector's probably happy with this. Front porch, I'm not as concerned, but you know, this is the west. This is the west. Where are all the storms going to come from? Up northwest. Where are all the tornadoes going to come from? The supercells are going to come from the southwest. So maybe an in-use weather cover would be better suited here, so that you could plug things in. Because right now, if you have anything plugged in, it stays open. On the front porch, it's pretty much protected. Maybe it's protected back here too. Maybe it is. See any of that Z-bar flashing yet? I'm not seeing any. See any weirs? I'm not seeing any of those weirs. Okay, just asking. Just asking. This foundation is coated like a cake frosting. Here's a good example of it, because it's not coated over here. It's coated like a cake frosting. Alright? It's called a parge coat. A parge coat. And that's decorative. I mean, sometimes it's like cosmetic surgery decorative, but it's decorative. But it creates a void between the parge. It's like a cake frosting, between the parge and the foundation. And, you know, bugs such as termites can find their way up in there. And also, if things like a crack, just because this cracks, it doesn't mean your foundation is cracked. And just because it's not cracked, it doesn't mean your foundation is not cracked. Speaking of cracks in your foundation, you're going to see some. They're going to start showing up right in here. As long as the span of a hand, I don't know whose hand, they come in this way. There's a shrinkage crack. Some people call them corner pops. Call it what you will. But that's normal. It might be holding up a brick, but that's not a foundation problem. You have cracks over here, it's something else. Cracks over there is something else. But right here in the corner, going down like that, those are shrinkage cracks, particle codes, whatever. The brick, it's the only part of your house that actually grows, but you'll never measure it. And your foundation, the cement, that's the only part of that shrinks. And you'll never be able to measure that. The Hoover Dam just dried, finally. So it will dry eventually. Probably not while you're owning the house. So, and then there's different thermodynamics between the brick and the foundation. So when it expands and contracts due to thermal influences such as the sun and temperature, weather and temperature, they expand and contract at different rates. And there's a plastic sheet that goes between the brick and the foundation. And it hardly ever goes to the corner, and you always have those pops. If the pop is severe enough, maybe you want to have it patched so that it holds the brick up. But this is a wood built house. This is a stick house. This brick is a veneer. It's a great veneer. Fireproof. It's fireproof. Long lasting. Low maintenance. As long as you don't paint it. This right here. This is called a control joint. Some people call them expansion joints. Call it what you want. You've got the same things out in the street. You've got this much wall. It's going to move. Welcome to North Texas. It's going to move. So what we want to do is to control it. We don't want cracks over here. It'll make cracks if you don't put it there. Just saying. Coming along. We've talked about that enough. Or will. We're going to talk about that some. We're going to talk about this some. It's actually in pretty good shape. It just does not have a diverter over it. So I might as well spoil it. I'm a spoiler. Come along. See, this is one of those in-use covers I was talking about. Maybe you want one of those on the patio. The code inspector probably won't have a problem with it adding it. He won't. But he probably doesn't have a problem with the way it is, because that's the way it is. So we're back over here. Now check this out. Now, that's not a weep hole. That hole underneath the electric meter actually be sealed. It should. Move on. And speaking of holes, these are weep holes. You know, all walls leak, just like the windows. And so you have the weep holes in the windows. You have weep holes around the perimeter of the foundation. Those are there by design. You have them over anywhere you have a metal lintel. That's a metal lintel. Anywhere you have that, you've got these weep holes. You do. And we talked about those windows. I won't let them loose. I just get in there. No time like the present. No time like the present. Here we are in the garage. Can I come in? Inspector Theater. Can I come in? Come on in, Mr. Fire. The door's always open for you. You always make me feel so warm and welcome. This door is supposed to separate the garage space from the living space. Because most of the things you care about, you might have a 65 Mustang out there. But most of the things you care about are in here. This is where your birth certificate is, your passport, your wife, your husband. Things you care about. So this door is supposed to swing closed on its own accord. It's supposed to have a spring. Now, I took mine off. I did an educated decision to do a foolish thing. I did. Because carrying the groceries, it's just a nuisance. I bring the car in, the groceries. I get that. I get why you wouldn't want the spring. But I'm telling you that a fire could come through there. This is the garage door opener. Well, why not? The outside's so clean, I got to come up with something. Coming along is a vinyl door. We got warning notices on the bottom corners. Those are spring tension stickers. All right. The manual door lock has been decommissioned. It's on the GFCI circuit. Aren't you? Maybe not. Oh, there it is. It's on the GFCI circuit. This controls this one lawn sprinkler and the garage door opener. We've got our courtesy light. We've got our emergency pull handle. This door control button is not supposed to be further from the threshold. I'm vertically challenged than 5 feet, so little hands don't come up here. Than 5 feet. And you're supposed to have a notice here. Notice that, it's a safety notice for children. It's got a little picture of a kid getting squashed. So if you want to squash a kid, you can look at the instructions. This is the way I do the safety reverse. I do not do the block test. I just test it optically. I'm not here to tear it up. I'm not. So you're supposed to have a warning notice here. What did we learn today? We're supposed to have a warning notice here. And we're supposed to have a warning notice on this door as well. And I know this is vinyl door. I know that we got some aesthetic issues. I know that you don't care. But there should be pull handles on the inside and outside of the door. Wait a minute. What do we have over here? I get carried away, Yeah, this is safety instructions. This is that safety notice I was talking about. Okay, we got one on the door. So we just do not have, we got a low switch without a safety notice. And we don't have pull handles. We don't have pull handles. Let's keep on moving. Keep on moving. Captive office. This one? Well, even this one's kind of close. Now I get it. If you have one of those in-use covers is over here and you're trying to get in, maybe not. Maybe not. But check this out. Look at that door handle. That's as crooked as a donkey tail. And the numbered latch, it's not exactly plumb either. So the hardware on this door is kind of cattywampus. That's a real word. I looked it up. Cattywampus. That's what old folks talk. That's how old folks talk. And we've already talked about this, but we got the fascia board that's broken. We got the big old gap. We got the big old gap between the freeze board right there. We do not have the kick out flashing right here. You think water's going to roll down that? I do. I do. But this is a wood destroying insect report, and it's not. I'd be talking about the wood mulch next to the house. Underneath the drip line, that's actually considered conducive conditions. What's wood mulch made of? Dead wood. What are termites like? Dead wood. Where's that? On the ground. Where are the termites? On the ground. This is how you get termites. About 5 times a year, no, maybe 3 times a year, I'll just drag my foot over here, and termites will just start coming up. I just found them accidentally. If I'm finding them a couple times a year, 3 times a year accidentally, how many do you think I'm walking over? I don't know. It's kind of scary to think about. It's called a swale. The yard's sculpted around so the water comes down the house. This yard needs to be rolled better. Something needs to happen with this yard. Look at this. We got standing water. Standing water. Mosquitoes like that? Yeah, they sure do. Mosquitoes friendly? Oh yeah, they like to spread things like West Nile disease. Oh yeah. My friend got some of that. Do they charge you for that? The doctor does. In fact, unfortunately, I had a friend that was succumbed. Died from West Nile disease. I think about that every time I swat mosquitoes. But I'm still out there on the patio. Like I had the brains I was born with. So something needs to happen with this. That's a quality of life thing. Does it affect the structure? Not so much. A little bit. A little bit. I can say it does. But it's also a quality of life thing. Moving on along. This is the fresh air induction vent for your air conditioning system. It is. When I got up here with the ladder, I couldn't see anything. And that's good. That's good. Remember, I already said, boring inspection is a good inspection. So what do we learn? We learned that the siding, got a ding on the siding over there. We learned that now these windows, actually this one, see this drain right here? That's your secondary emergency drain line. If you look out the window and you see water coming down, you got a problem with your air conditioning system. Call the HVAC tech. Unless you've got those skills. If you've got those skills, you know what to do. And I don't have to tell you.